Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2024 Spanish Grand Prix, the first race of a triple header and the first of 5 races in 6 weeks as we hurtle towards the F1 summer break. Now, this isn't one of my favourites of the season. It doesn't always throw up the best races. But that said, whether it's Mansell versus Senna in 1991, Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari in 1996, or even Pastor Maldonado's first and only F1 win in 2012, it has given us some great and memorable moments over the years. Back to the here and now though, sort of. Last time out F1 was in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix when Max Verstappen took the win in mixed conditions. But now it is on to Spain for round 10, yes, round 10 of the 2024 season. A lap of the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya is 4.657 kilometres long. If you work in miles, that's just over 2.89 and is made up of 14 corners with 66 laps scheduled for Sunday's race and a race lap record of a 1:16.330, which was set by Max Verstappen last year. There will be 2 DRS zones in use across the weekend, with the first running between turns 9 and 10 and the second down the long start-finish straight. Both zones, by the way, have their own detection points, the first before turn 9 and the second before the final corner. It is a tough track to overtake on, but that doesn't mean there won't be opportunities. The DRS zones will help, of course, so expect plenty of attempts to get moves done in turn 1 and maybe some in turn 10. Outside of those, it's tricky though, but turn 4 or 5 could offer up possibilities. They are risky moves though, so drivers may choose to wait rather than take that risk. Another thing worth mentioning when it comes to this track, this is a good weekend to have a look at the pecking order. This track is a very good test of how good or bad each team's cars are thanks to the mix of high, medium and low speed corners, meaning a balance between downforce, heavy braking, direction change and power force straight line speed for that long straight are all essential, although most teams will likely go with a medium to high downforce setup for this one, more towards the higher end. My point is this circuit is very good at exposing weaknesses in cars, and so we might get a much clearer picture compared to the recent run of races of what the actual running order is. It's an interesting weekend ahead. And last year, Max Verstappen absolutely cruised to victory, finishing just over 24 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton, who took P2, and 32 seconds up the road from George Russell, who took the final step on the podium. A comfortable win. Just a final couple of stats for you before we move on. Lewis Hamilton has won 6 times in Barcelona, including 5 wins on the bounce between 2017 and 2021. And Max Verstappen has won 3 times, including each of the last 2 races around the circuit. That means this weekend, if Hamilton was to win, he would take win number 7 at the track, and Verstappen has a chance to make it 3 wins in a row in Spain. Do you see where I'm going with this? It just so happens that 7 is the total number of compounds in the Pirelli range if we include the inters and the wets, and 3 is also the number of dry compounds to choose from across a race weekend. Do you know what that means? Yes, it's a double segue into tyre talk time, the best time of the week. Maybe. The compounds available for this one then are, surprise, surprise, the hardest in the Pirelli range, and so they are the hard C1, the medium C2, and the soft C3. This one is tough on the tyres, or as Pirelli puts it, one of the most technically demanding tracks on the calendar for the cars and the tyres. Corners like, for example, the long turn 3 and the final couple of high-speed turns means that the hardest compounds are usually chosen because of the lateral forces put through the tyres. Despite the hardest compounds, though, a multi-stop race is still expected on Sunday. It is also worth noting that this year's race is actually taking place a few weeks later than it did last season, so temperatures could be hotter, and that's another factor when it comes to strategy and tyre management. Pirelli saying in their press release that all of that could put the softest C3 compound for this weekend at a disadvantage, and wait for this, they have even suggested a 3-stop race may be required for some. We'll see how it plays out on Sunday, of course, but I wouldn't mind a 3-stopper. That could be fun. Last year's winning strategy, though, was a 2-stopper with Max Verstappen using all 3 compounds in the race as he started on the medium tyre before pitting on lap 26 for a set of the hards, and then he pitted again on lap 52 for a final stint on the soft tyres. Every single driver on the grid, by the way, stopped at least twice. As for the final points on strategy, the total pit lane loss time last year was largely between 22 and 24 seconds. Safety cars have not historically been all that common at the circuit. In fact, there was a 7-year period, 2009 to 2016, where we didn't see a single one. And there have only been 4 full safety car deployments since 2016, the last one coming in 2021. And as always, the weather could play its part too, but it does tend to be warm and dry when the race rolls around. And again, as I said earlier, it could be hotter this time due to the race taking place slightly later in the year than usual. The most up-to-date forecast, which this time around is as of Wednesday night, is on screen for you now, but of course that could all easily change between now and the rest of the weekend. And your schedule for this one is back to the usual European times, and that will largely be the case with the odd variation for the next few races. So, FP1 will get the weekend started at 12:30 p.m. BST on Friday, and that is followed later that afternoon by FP2 at 4 p.m. The third and final practice session is on Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. with qualifying underway from 3 p.m. And it is lights out for the race on Sunday at 2 p.m. and once again that is in UK time. Now, before I get on to my predictions for this one, let's have a quick run through just a couple of stories and talking points relevant to this weekend's action in Spain. So first up, it has been confirmed that RB will bring a substantial package of updates to their car in Spain, a track that has traditionally been a place teams like to pile on the upgrades. Jody Eggington, the team's technical director, said there has been a lot of work going on to prepare and deliver the update, which will consist of a new floor, bodywork and rear wing for both cars to provide a measurable performance benefit. He goes on to add that as a result of the new update, Friday practice sessions will be especially busy as the team focuses on gathering and processing as much data as possible. So they could be a team to keep an eye on this weekend. It is also worth a mention that Ferrari could bring some updates to their car focused on improving low-speed cornering performance and would feature a revised floor and modifications to the rear of the car targeting an improvement to diffuser performance. Following the introduction of their new front wing, Mercedes is also expected to arrive in Spain with, among other things, a new floor being the next step of their car development. Keep an eye on McLaren too, as Andrea Stella has told motorsport.com that although he won't say what and when, the team will have upgrades for the coming races, adding, quote, "This is more some individual components where we found a little bit of performance, and rather than waiting to deploy everything together once ready, we take it trackside." In fact, do you know what? Keep an eye on everyone, because I will be very surprised if we don't see most, if not all, teams introduce something at Barcelona. And Ollie Bearman will be back behind the wheel of an F1 car again on Friday morning. The young driver will be hopping into a Haas as he takes Nico Hülkenberg's place for FP1, his second of 6 FP1 outings for the team this year. And yes, rumours do continue to swirl that Bearman is set to drive for the team full-time next season, although nothing has been officially announced at time of recording. And just on the subject of Haas, super quickly, team boss Ao Komatsu highlighted that this is the first race since the team introduced their latest package of updates that offers proper high-speed corners, and so the team is focused on assessing how that update works around this circuit. Right then, let's make some predictions, and as always, do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun, but if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below, and based on the last two lots, you really should be disagreeing with my picks. Goodness me, last time out, slightly better than Monaco, but that was a pretty low bar to be fair. Wrong on everything, but at least I did get half a point for Verstappen and Norris making the top 3, but in the wrong order. So yeah, great stuff, Sean. This week, I'm fully expecting Red Bull to be the team to beat in Spain. As already mentioned in this preview, they dominated with Max Verstappen last year, and it is a track that should suit their car much more than recent tracks have. So although I do think McLaren and Ferrari, and perhaps even Mercedes, if that Canada pace was genuine, will push them a lot closer this year in Barcelona, I still fancy Red Bull to be the favourite, specifically Max Verstappen. The conditions, for example, could also help Ferrari thanks to their strong time management that they've shown in 2024, and the hotter temperatures, if they come, should be better for the Scuderia than the cooler ones were in Montreal. And McLaren have already shown they are strong at most tracks, and so they could be a big threat too. The biggest danger, if you like, for Red Bull, though, could well be Sergio Perez. What I mean by that is if he continues on his current dip in form and isn't right at the sharp end to back up his teammate against the charging Ferraris, McLarens and Mercedes, that could leave Verstappen exposed to things like the undercut, especially if we get a multi-stop race. My point is, whilst I think Verstappen will be the one to beat, there could be opportunities for the others to snatch the win if Checo isn't where he needs to be. But with all of that out of the way, I am still going to go with Max Verstappen for pole position on Saturday, the win on Sunday, and I'll go with him for fastest lap as well. In second place, I'll say that Carlos Sainz gets a cracking result on home soil and takes that position, and perhaps this is my Ferrari blind optimism kicking in, probably is. I'll go with a double Ferrari podium with Charles Leclerc in P3, assuming they don't decide to run wet tyres on a dry track or dry tyres on a wet track. You never quite know. I'm really fascinated to see if, as already touched on, that Mercedes pace we saw in Canada is genuine or whether it was a bit of a false dawn, you might say again. They were also a bit of a surprise package in Spain last year too, so I don't want to totally rule them out. There is a good chance they will be right in the mix, but based on how things have gone for much of this season, I will still put them as best of the rest. That is 4th best finishing team on Sunday as always, but that doesn't mean I'm saying they'll be a lap down or anything crazy like that. It could well be super close, if not with Red Bull, but in that pack behind, and I'm absolutely all for it. The closer and more unpredictable, the better. As for some final bolder picks, I'm going to go with Fernando Alonso for a top 5 finish in front of his home fans. Say Alex Albon will nick a point on Sunday afternoon, perhaps just sneaking into P10. And let's go with Zhou Guan Yu out qualifying his teammate on Saturday afternoon. That is it then for the Spanish Grand Prix preview, but you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back soon with some more content, and I will, of course, be live again with Stuart shortly after the action on Sunday for some race reaction. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out, and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.